Hello everybody, Shrouded Hand here. Welcome to another episode of Fringe Theory. On April 13th, 2020, Pope Francis led the recitation of the Regina Coeli prayer from the Vatican's Apostolic library. The event was broadcast across the globe and everything seemed perfectly normal. This is an event that goes on multiple times a year. Then some eagle-eyed viewers noticed something weird in the following piece of footage. Many people believe that this video proves that the Pope was not actually present at this event, and what we're really seeing is a holographic projection. So why would the Vatican be using a holographic projection of the Pope? Well, that depends what you believe. Just to be clear, these are not necessarily my own views. I'm just going to talk about what some other people believe. The sheer amount of wealth and power in the Vatican has led to many allegations of corruption at the highest level of the Church. A number of high-profile child abuse scandals within the Catholic Church, plus their subsequent cover-ups, have only bolstered these suspicions. Tales of a network of elites being involved in child trafficking, snuff movies and illegal pornography are widespread, and if such a network does exist, then the Pope, many say, is almost certainly involved. Some even claim that the Pope is a Satanist and regularly takes part in human sacrifice rituals. If you want to go even deeper than that, the Pope could actually be an interdimensional lizard that drinks human blood for sustenance. Again, these are not my views, and I'm not trying to tell you what you should or shouldn't believe. I'm just trying to show you that Pope conspiracy theories range from simple tales of corruption based on provable events all the way up to extremely outlandish allegations of supernatural abilities. To figure out why they might be using a holographic projection, you have to figure out how far along the Pope conspiracy scale these allegations sit. I mean, if we're talking interdimensional aliens here, then it might not be a hologram at all. Maybe it's just the Pope phase shifting out of his human form into something that's undetectable to the human eye. As far as I can tell, the main theory is that Pope Francis was killed off, or he's been arrested for his involvement in human trafficking and child exploitation. Either way, he's out of the picture, and the Vatican are covering it up by showing a holographic projection of him at public events. Like I say, the theories vary wildly, and I'm not too interested in exploring them in this particular video. I'm more interested in looking at this one piece of footage and trying to figure out what could be going on. So I think when people call this a hologram, they're thinking of the type of thing that's used in music performances, like this one where Tupac was brought back to life at 2012's Coachella Festival, and it's not actually a hologram at all. This is actually an old technology called Pepper's Ghost, named after a man called John Henry Pepper. He patented the technique in 1863, although the illusion has been around since at least the 16th century. It involves placing a sheet of glass at a 45-degree angle to the audience, then projecting an image onto it. From the audience's perspective, the projected image looks like a 3D object standing there on the stage, when in reality it's a 2D reflection on a piece of glass. It's called Pepper's Ghost because the reflected image appears translucent and ghostly. If you want to make the image appear solid, you need a dark background, which is why when you see these holographic stage performances, there's almost always a plain black backdrop behind them. You probably could pull it off from this window. The audience is looking up from below at a fixed angle. The room behind the Pope is nice and dark, so the projection would appear solid. It's entirely plausible that you could do a Pepper's Ghost style illusion in this situation. The thing is, the Pope has made numerous appearances since then where it's very clear that he was there in the room, unless we're to believe that this is a hologram too, in which case the Vatican must have some kind of futuristic hologram technology that the general public aren't aware of yet. So could it be a body double? If it is, then why did they go to the lengths of using a hologram when they had such a convincing doppelganger? I haven't really seen a clear explanation as to why they would have used a hologram here but then not at other times. There is a more simple explanation, and it's one that most of you have probably guessed already. It's that this isn't a holographic projection at all, but a simple camera glitch or editing error. The vanishing Pope footage seems to come from a news report put out on a West Michigan local news station. There's other footage from this event from other angles where the Pope doesn't disappear into thin air, so that fact alone already brings into question the holographic projection theory. There are other explanations. The problem is, a lot of the so-called rational explanations aren't all that great either. For example, this Redditor says, "It's low frame rate. The frames are missing and it makes it look like he fades when in reality he simply walks from a sunny window into a darker room." Now, I'm not sure I've ever seen a low frame rate make someone vanish into thin air like that. Unless it was filmed at about 1 frame a second, I think you would see some sort of transition as he walked into the shadow. This really doesn't feel like a satisfactory explanation to me. Another Redditor posted, "The camera will be set for a certain light level and it could be possible to have him go poof like that. Also, when a piece of video is compressed it lacks the gamut range, so the steps from light to dark are very sudden. Source, worked with camera equipment professionally 20 plus years. Try it, get the camera on your phone, set it to manual and have it set so you're lit when under a strong light source. The manual setting is important. Then step out of the strong light into shadow and you perhaps will disappear due to the lighting conditions and the ability for the camera sensor to see you." So I kind of understand what they're saying here, even though I'm not that familiar with professional camera equipment. The camera would be set to film the Pope as he steps into the sunlight of the open window, but then when he steps back into the shadow of the dark room, the contrast is so high that he effectively disappears. I tried to recreate it with my phone camera set to manual, even lowering the frame rate and compressing the image. I still can't get anything that looks too similar to the vanishing Pope footage. Again, it just doesn't seem to be a satisfactory explanation for what we're seeing here. It just seems like he vanishes far too quickly for it to be a camera error like that. So instead of being an error with the camera, it could be an editing error, and here's my attempt at explaining how that might happen. Okay, so here I am in Sony Vegas, an old version of Sony Vegas, because I can't afford the new ones. Anyway, I don't know what video editing software this newsroom used. It's probably not Sony Vegas, but I assume a lot of them have the same features, so I'm going to just show you what I think may have happened. So I imagine when they're putting together the newsreel, they've got a lot of different clips of the events that they're talking about, and they probably take the clips and drop them into the timeline. Like, you know, we'll have a establishing shot here of the Pope and then maybe one of him doing the prayer. So when they play the video back, they all play one after another, and then maybe they put in one with him at the window. I mean, if you watch the footage back, you can see they do cut from different scenes to another. And this one is him appearing at a window, and this is from a different time. This isn't from the event where he supposedly vanished. This is from another time he appeared at the window. And then maybe they put in something at the ends to finish off the footage of the square. But what you can do is, and if I zoom in a bit here, what you can do with a lot of these clips at least in Sony Vegas you can do this, is you can move them about. Like, see if I dragged it down to make the clip a little bit shorter, maybe I wanted it just to end here, or I could drag it out to be a bit longer. And I imagine as they're editing the video together, they're doing a lot of moving things about and clipping. Maybe they split a video and put a bit here and then moved one here, and then they're cutting this one down to be a bit shorter, and then they decide they want it to be a bit longer, so they drag it out. Now what happens is, and as you can see there's a little V shape here, that means I've dragged this clip out to longer than it actually is, and what happens is the clip actually loops back around to the beginning. So let's have a look what happens to the Pope when we go back to the beginning. Oh, he's vanished. If you watch the original clip where the Pope vanishes, it happens just before they cut to another scene. So I imagine what they did was they were just messing around trying to change the size of different bits of footage they had, and then they dragged one out and accidentally left a couple of frames at the end just before it cuts to the next scene. So there we go, I've created a vanishing Pope footage, because at the start of the video clip he's not in the window, and then he walks to the window, and then at the end of the clip he's still there, but it loops back down to the beginning of the clip where he's not there, and it makes him appear to vanish. So is this a foolproof explanation? Not really, it's just my opinion on what might have happened, and there's no real way to actually prove it. In fact, many people online have pointed out that if you slow it down frame by frame, you can actually see a single frame where the Pope is semi-transparent, as if phasing out of existence. This, some say, proves that it's not a cut in the editing process. So does this put a hole in my explanation? Not really. There's this thing called resampling, and please forgive my very inexpert explanation here. Sometimes if you're creating a video with a certain frame rate and you import a file with a different frame rate, the picture can be slightly out of sync and it can look a bit jerky. So what the editing software does is something called resampling. What it does is it tries to create extra frames to make the picture a bit smoother. It can result in a sort of ghosting effect, because it basically takes two frames that are side by side and combines them together. If you look at it really slowed down, it looks weird, but at a normal speed the human eye can't detect it, so it just looks like the video has a higher frame rate than it actually does. So is the Pope a hologram? It is possible. In this one particular situation, they may, for some reason, have used a holographic projection of the Pope. Occam's razor states that if there are multiple explanations for something, the simplest answer is usually the correct one. Personally, I think there are simpler explanations than the hologram theory. That doesn't mean it's debunked though. Just because something's unlikely doesn't mean it's untrue. I mean, who knows? Maybe this is the real footage, and this video put out by the Vatican is the edited one to hide the truth. Anything's possible, I suppose. It's a bit of strange footage that will probably be forgotten about in a few years, but I wanted to cover it anyway because I like weird stories like this. Anyway, I hope you found the video interesting, even if it was just a lengthy exploration of what appears to be a simple video error. Shout out to everyone supporting the channel on Patreon or via PayPal donations. Your help is highly appreciated. I'm currently getting a home office put in, so hopefully once I'm in there things will go a lot more smoothly. At the moment I'm just sat at my kitchen table trying to make videos in between stripping wallpaper and painting walls. It's not the ideal situation for getting things done, so thanks for your patience in the meantime. So here's some more videos you might enjoy, check them out. Thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.